Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle, coming to you from Newport's very own MJ Harrington Jewelry. I'm Elizabeth D'Orazio, your host. Last week, Rick Stockwell introduced us to his bonsai workshop in Sutton. This week, he'll tell us about the tree dwarfing process. Rick?
So this is the entrance to the bonsai area. This is a torii gate, which they use in Japan for entrances to gardens. It's kind of the doorway to the bonsai area. Well, let me start by showing how I start trees. Oftentimes, I take cuttings and put them over heat, and then when they take root, I plant them in the ground and grow them on and develop them. Or I collect them from nature, from quaking bogs where they're naturally dwarfed, or mountaintops where they're naturally dwarfed. And then I grow them on to develop them and fatten the trunk, refine the branches, keep the roots pruned. Horticulturally, when you take a plant out of a nursery pot and you've got these fat circling roots in the pot, those create a lot of fat branches, long and without much branching. So you want to mimic what you have in the pot by making a lot of fine roots and root pruning it every couple of years, and then you'll have more fine branching, and that's part of the dwarfing process. You also want to kind of put them in a limited growing experience, but you water twice a day when it's warm in the summer in a well-drained soil so that the roots can breathe, but you also want to keep them moist. So you use a soil that drains well but holds moisture. I try and mimic nature. If it's a tree growing, deciduous tree growing in a field, it wouldn't have a lot of movement and character. You look at it more for the leaves and the structure and the foliage and the fall foliage. A tree like this has a little more balance and movement because in nature it might compete it might have to grow off to the side to compete. This might be a tree growing on a mountainside and cascading down. You can see this might be a tree. This is more of a literati design. The Japanese literati were famous artists who did a lot of calligraphy, and this to me looks like calligraphy. So mimicking nature, the tree species kind of determines the form and shape that you're going after. So in Japan, most houses have a tokonoma, which is an alcove in their house. It's kind of the focal point, and they'll have three elements. They'll have a plant, a bonsai or a flower arrangement, which they call ikebana, and a companion plant that would balance off, and a scroll, a Japanese scroll, and they're usually seasonal. So this is my outdoor tokonoma. And this is a good example of a deciduous tree that's grown mainly for the foliage and the shape, fall color. I've been doing this for 55 years, and some of these trees I've had for that period of time. And this particular one, this forest group, I probably spent over 200 hours on this forest group. When I started, they were this tall, and now they're over 6 feet tall. Bonsai can be small, medium, large. Bonsai means tree in a pot. So I do have some trees in my landscape which are trained and wired, but they're not bonsai because they're not in a pot. So some of my trees I've been training for 55 years, and they were already 30 years if I collected them from a mountain or whatever at the time. So in Japan, there are trees that are passed on from generation to generation, and they could be over 300, 400, 500 years old. Trees are the oldest living thing in the world. So they can survive and be passed on to generations, and many of these trees, when I go, will be passed on to people who will maintain them and hopefully improve on them and keep them alive.
Thank you, Rick. Next week, he'll show us the many examples of his endeavors, including his oldest bonsai. When we return, Catherine Nevins will give us a few books that might fit neatly into someone's stocking. But first, these words from another local business that has yours and our interests at hand.
This program is supported by Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications.